Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the 3200 podcast. Hey, everybody, we have a show for you today. Today, we're going to be talking about everybody's favorite thing, right? We're talking about their money, the dollar bills, y'all. We got special guest Jody Pruitt with us today. And just hang on with us. We'll be right back after this message.
Hey, the 3200, you know how we connect. 3200 Magnolia was the address. Beaumont, Texas, had to do it like that. Wanna welcome everybody to the podcast. Plenty stories that we gotta explore. From the views of husbands, fathers, entrepreneurs, baby fathers and workers. I know this though for certain. You gon' laugh, have a good time till your side hurting. 3200, but you already know this. You know it. Couple of brothers hard working and focused. Let's go. Intellectual, entertaining for show. 32 double O, let's go. 3200, but you already know this. Couple of brothers hard working and focused. Intellectual, entertaining for show. 32 double O, let's go. Hey, yeah, make sure that you turn it up. Get the talking, ain't no topic that we do not discuss. Yeah, everything and nothing at the same time. Good vibes, tune in, cause you know it's going down. 3200.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. Welcome back. We got another week of fun with you all today. But before we get started, we need you all to do us a huge favor. A huge favor. I need you to go ahead, smash that like button and that share button. And also, if you're watching us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, man. Make sure you do that, man. That's the only way to get all the new videos and all the new content from us that we're putting out here throughout the week, man. So man, go ahead, smash that like and share button, and also subscribe to us. Hey, welcome to the show. Of course, I'm Black Ike, man. We got Leo in the house today. We say, what's up, Leo?
Hey there.
Then, of course, we got Mo Money. Jonathan's here. He's live coming out of Miami.
Yeah, still working. trying to get to the money, trying to invest.
And of course, man, we got Big Bro with us today, drinking the strong smoothie there. We got KD with us today. What's up, KD?
I heard $1 will make a holler.
All right. And today, man, like I said, today we're talking all about money, investments, and more. Go ahead, start right now. Dropping in the comments right now. We're going to be talking. We got special guest with us, Mr. Jody Pruitt, correct? With the Williams Financial Group.
Mm-hmm. Williams Financial Advisors, WFA.
Williams Financial Advisors, man. He's with us today. He's going to be sharing some information with us and also helping us out to get us all ready and get us set for some generational wealth, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So,
inspire.
All right. So you want to give us introduce yourself, Mr. Jody? Give us a little bit on your background.
Okay. My name is Jody Pruitt. I have been in the financial advising industry for 8 years now. Feel pretty good, man. They say you can make it past 5. You got a real chance to last in this industry. And I've been here 8 years now. Kind of my inspiration, not going too far deep in my background, but my inspiration to get into finance was that I lost my dad my freshman year in college. He unfortunately killed by a drunk driver. And at that point in time, I was going to Xavier University, which is a private Catholic school. Great school, but it's an expensive school. And even though my mom did very well for herself, it was basically a situation where all of a sudden, we were down to a single income family. And my ambition at the time was to be a pediatrician. And, I know there's scholarships and grants and other things that could have helped pay for school, but I was just looking at it from the standpoint, well, it's just me and my mom now. I need to get a little bit closer to home to look after her. And I just didn't want to be in debt. So ended up leaving school. It didn't really have, I ended up leaving school and transferring to Northwestern State University, which is about 45 minutes from the Army base where my parents were stationed. And I didn't really know what I was going to major in. Honestly, what happened to me, and it was a shock to me, is I was taking a finance class one day as part of my general curriculum, and I fell in love with it. And it shocked me because math was always my least favorite subject. But I always joke and tell people maybe instead of solving for X and Y and dollar signs, maybe that just made all the difference for me and made it more interesting to me. And I had a couple of professors that believed in me and said, "Man, Jody, I really think you'd be great at this. Not only do you understand the math, but you're good in explaining it to people." And at that time, I was a single dad in college. I had my little girl. At the time, I was going into my junior year, and I was trying to hurry up and get out that thing and make some money. So, man, I had a couple professors pour into me, and I took it and ran with it, and probably been the best decision I ever made.
Amen. You manage my money.
Hey, I got a couple coins in my pocket right now. That boy got the ticker in the background, the Bloomberg report. That boy got all kinds of stuff.
Man, I'm trying, man.
See what's going on. What I need to invest in, man. Move your head. I can't see, man.
Actually, I think I'll start with a question. As far as black faces in those spaces, is there a lot? Are we needed in there? Because like we say, we're always talking about money, even in our songs, it's always about money and everything, but are we actually in your career field?
No, sadly not. Less than 3% of financial advisors are black. And there's so many layers to this conversation. And like I said, this isn't an easy industry to make it in. It's not at all. Like you think about it from a pure basic perspective. I have to convince people to give me their hard-earned money and let me manage it for them. I have to maybe introduce concepts of investing and managing money that they're not familiar with or educated on. And it doesn't mean that they're not intelligent themselves. That's just not what they do, And honestly, if you come from a cultural aspect as far as African Americans, I actually had this conversation with the president of our company here on a podcast a couple of months back. And, we were talking about how there might be a lack of interest in the African American population because technically this is kind of new to us in the sense that Ruby Bridges, I believe, is 67, 68 right now. And she was one of the first kids, especially in the Deep South, to integrate into public school systems. My mom's 72, so she's older than Ruby Bridges. And so she grew up, born in 1950, and she grew up in Jim Crow laws. And so in a sense, I'm first generation post Jim Crow in my family. In a sense, I have two older sisters, but as far as the opportunity and not having, and of course, we know there's still barriers, but not having the official legal law barriers, blocking me from that information. And so from our standpoint, if you look at it, like I said, my mom's 72, most of the big hitters as far as clients are in their 60s and 70s and up. You might have some in your 50s, but that's because they had time to generate and gain the money. But if you come from a African-American perspective, as far as the culture, okay, mom's first to go to PWI University, first to go to college in my family, followed by her younger sister. She goes to college, but it's not the college experience that I had or that you guys may have had. It's a completely different experience. She's probably less than 20 African-American kids on the campus. And we already know she's not getting the same access to social events. She basically essentially had to join a sorority just to have a college social life. And so, you're conquering so many mountains along the way. Okay, first to go to college, and I'm going to college at a place where I'm one of the very few people that look like me. Okay, now I break out of college, I break into my industry and my job, and I'm the first person to hit these ranks, or I'm the only person in the boardroom meetings that looks like me on top of that. And so you take all that, I'm conquering all these mountains in the short term. I'm naturally not thinking about investing in money management for the long term. And even if I am, nobody looks like me that I can relate to manage my money for me in that sense. And, not even saying that my mom might have been racist or prejudiced, but you think about when she's coming from Jim Crow laws, the guys that are financial advisors at that point in time look like the people that might have harassed or discriminated against her. So you think she's going to go when she was growing up? So you think she's going to go take her hard-earned money that she overcome so many challenges to get to and say, "Hey, I'm gonna give this to you"? I mean, it just doesn't naturally work like that, And so I'm big on that, and that's why I feel like I know we initially started with what percentage of African Americans make up financial advisors, but when you even have that, when they make that evolution, okay, I've turned the corner, I've conquered these mountains, I've done all this, and now I have a different mindset. Now I understand that, hey, man, my money sitting in a savings account isn't going to grow with inflation. It's not doing much there, but it's safe. And I understand it. I don't understand the stock market.
It's in that
And
mattress.
that's going to approach them that looks like them or that they can relate to convince them to go, hey, you need to try a new way. Let me teach you about generational wealth. Let me teach you about investing and capital gains and such and such.
I got a question.
Mhm.
So I was just under the assumption that having a savings account, just a regular savings account at blah, blah, blank, that I would receive some interest because I don't touch the money at all. But then knowing that we were going to do this particular podcast, I saw that they were charging me $5. You charging me, first of all, to hold my money. Like I can do that with the mattress. And so then I opened up another account and I was like trying to find out more information about traditional accounts versus a Roth IRA, blah, blah, blah. And so I have some money that I want to talk to you about later on. Some money I want to give you on a monthly basis, and I want to see what type of yields, how does it grow, and like let's say I'm just starting in, so what does that look like for me? Getting away from the savings account, them charging me to keep my money, type
So
of thing.
there's really three parts that come to mind with what you just asked. The first part is that our generation, people in our age range, had to make a shift. And a lot of people don't realize that. I remember growing up, I don't know if you guys remember, my mom had a Christmas club account. Did any of your parents have those? And they had I think she was getting 6-7% interest off of it at the time. And just as a savings account, it was a short term, it was almost like a CD, and she would get that off there. And then at some point we get money and the interest rates drop below 1%. So we can't even approach money if we wanted to like our parents or grandparents did, because we don't get those same interest rates, which a lot of people don't understand why the Fed currently is trying to raise interest rates, because we can't operate like this to where people can't even have safe money in the savings. Like you can only keep up with inflation and grow your money through the stock market, which is a fine vehicle to do it, but you should also be able to have some safe, conservative way to also method to at least try to keep track. We don't have that as a generation. So number one, you had to evolve and think completely different than the previous. So you had to have more expertise in regards to finances than the generations before you. The second part, I had a third part, I did just slip my mind, it might come back. But the second part of that is that you have to approach it in the likes of, I remember I started at Capital One, so I saw the bank world. This is the second part, it just clicked in my mind. So I started at Capital One Bank, great bank. They ended up closing their investment program in 2018. But I saw firsthand, I'm learning okay, hey, let's just say hypothetically, because it's an easy number, you got $100,000 sitting in the bank. And we already know how banks work. Okay, yeah, you have that $100,000 sitting in the bank, KD, but we're loaning it out to somebody to buy a car. Or we're loaning it out to somebody, maybe it's a little bit more money to buy a house. And in that sense, we might be charging them 4, 5, 6% interest on the house, or 10, 12, 15% interest, whatever, on the car note. But yet I'm only paying you 0.10%. So think about it in the concept, because this is pimping at its finest, if we're really being honest with each other.
Yeah,
I'm taking the money that you saved up, whether it was an inheritance from your parents or you just pinching pennies and stacking it up. I'm taking the money out your pocket just because you like my bank app. Or I got a cute teller in the window that you like to go see. For whatever reason, you're banking at this bank. And I am simply, and you just decide to put your money there, and I'm simply flipping it. And I'm giving you, I don't know, I wouldn't even call it pennies. I'm giving you crumbs, bro. If the whole time I'm making a come up, and then I have the audacity, if you ever slip up, to charge you overdraft fee. And make up a fee to charge you for maintenance. What the hell is the maintenance that I'm charging you for?
So should I have a savings account, or should I just take this lump sum of money that I it's just money that I just don't want to touch on a monthly basis? I dedicated a whole figure, and I said I've been putting it in a savings account. So I've been doing that, but then I noticed they're charging me $5 to hold my money, and I'm like, why you hold up? Wouldn't that be the same principle as me putting it in the mattress? Yeah. I don't gain any interest, but it's safer. I'm not charging myself $5.
And the fee you're getting charged is more than the interest you're earning.
Yeah, because interest is what, 0.50%.
Yeah, if you're lucky, that's high now.
Right.
For the savings account.
Well, that's with the a Roth
Oh,
that I
right.
was looking at. Yeah.
Okay, so here's the levels to that you would go through. Something I'm proud about our firm is we try to go into behavioral finance. And when I say the behavioral finance, I try to look at people past just a simple math equation. I don't try to look at it, okay, KD, Leo, Ike, you are this age, so such and such, you need to have this much saved up and such and such. No, because it could be different. With my dad passing at a young age, I'm not big on holding a lot of money in a bank account. I'm just going to be honest with you. I'm kind of like, well, look, I might not be here, so I'm actually a spender in my dynamic of my family. I'm still, of course, responsible for being in this position, but I'm actually not. I'm more likely to spend than my wife is in regards to assets and funds. But you get to a point where you're like, okay, hey, and it depends on your personal background. If something tragic happened to you, or you just had a rough childhood where you like parents struggle, I say, hey, you probably only need like $5,000 to $7,000 in the bank account, in your savings account, just borrowing money sitting there. You don't want to do nothing. But you might be say, well, Jody, this happened to me when I was a kid, or this happened, or so I feel like I only need 10,000. I feel like I need 10,000 instead of 5,000 or 7,000 in there. So it's me also understanding you. That's the next level of being a financial advisor. I can do all the math and have all the statistics I want, but I have to understand you as a person, as a client. What makes you tick? What are you not afraid of? What are you scared of? I have to dive deeper and actually know who you are as a man and what you feel about stuff. But in that regard, there's always you can approach it. In my instance, I don't ever want to have more than $5,000 in a bank account right now. And the way I look at it is all that excess over that, it's in the stock market. And
so stop there. Why don't I want to have more than $5,000?
That's me personally, but if we're just going with that number, it gets to a point where you're just like, hey, I ain't never had a $5,000 emergency before. Just like in a year's time. Like most people, they looked at like, I've never had an emergency that big. If something crappy happens to me, it might be like $700 emergency that you might have in that sense of it. Or in some people approach it's like, okay, I have this little bit of money, but if something just crazy happens, I got a credit card that I keep a low balance on that I can just use as an emergency fund as well. So it's like, what makes you feel comfortable in that sense? But the reason, like we said, we're getting back to, if you're only getting 0.50 or even worse in some cases, like I said, some people are only making 0.10, then you're doing yourself a disservice with your money. Because like I said, you want that born safe money as an emergency fund for you, of course. But your money, the majority of your money is not keeping up with inflation. So whether you realize it or not, if inflation is growing like last year, and I got to break down inflation for y'all here in a little bit, but inflation has grown depending on how you look at it. Well, I'll go ahead and tell you now, there's two types of inflation. There's, I guess, normal standard inflation, and there's core inflation. Standard inflation is a lot higher now because of two key factors that we all see: gas prices and food. And the thing is about it, it's the worst two things to be affected because number one, you can't go nowhere without seeing a gas price. Like you can't drive down the street without seeing gas prices. So you see that gas prices are higher. And then number two, you're gonna eat. So when you go make your monthly groceries, you see I'm spending more money now. So that's the perfect example. Now, core inflation takes that out of the category, but still inflation is 6% higher in standard inflation and 4% higher in core inflation right now. And all core inflation is it takes out food and energy because they're volatile prices. If somebody in Saudi Arabia gets mad, they can affect energy prices. If a bad crop or something happens, that affects food prices. So it kind of removes it because like, hey, that's volatile. Like, so we don't always want that to be the determinant of inflation. But still, without those two in there, inflation is still over 4% higher. So you're only earning 0.50% on your account. So if your money's decreasing 4% this past year, you're losing. So you have to be in something, at least in essence, that's earning at least around 3 to 4% just to even keep even. You know what I mean? And that's people don't realize when I talk to the older people in the African American community, I know you're feeling good because might have a high savings account, you might have money in there, but you don't realize you're just dying a slow death. You ain't getting shot up, but you slowly bleeding out. And you don't realize it. And then what's even better, you think you're doing something, but this money that you're not even going to be able to probably spend in your lifetime, you pass down to your kids or whoever, and it's not worth near as much as it could have been to them. So let's say in the instance, you're only able to take care of one generation instead of 3 generations.
All right. So here's the second part of that question.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a 2-part question.
Yeah.
And to my brothers, I ain't trying to take off of the show, but I just got a lot of questions because, I'm making moves. All right. So
big brother.
So one of the things my wife and I have been pondering is to buy more property, right? So property
Okay.
is one of those things that it can never sell for lower than what you purchase it at,
Mm.
right? Appraisal may happen, or you may put something on it, but like we go to these little sheriff sales and everything like that. So
Mhm.
that's what we've been looking at, like for us. And you're the money man, so I'm asking you: is it advantageous for us to take some of what we save, because we do this every 3 years, we'll go buy a piece of property. So would it be advantageous for us to continue that route in buying property, or just take that lump and put it into an account that'll get us some interest?
Well, I look at it two ways. You have to love real estate because land isn't going to go anywhere besides erosion in that avenue. I would honestly, in a sense, I put to you like this: all of my wealthiest clients own real estate in some form or another. So I'm not a real estate expert myself personally, but I know, like I see it. Like even being a young man in this industry, I'm still humble enough to like, hey, well, you got here at some point and I'm managing your money. How did you do it? I ask my client questions sometimes, like, hey, you're 60 years old. You got years on me. What decisions did you make? How did this come about for you? So in that sense, they all own property in some instance, whether it's land, a house, or anything like that. And also to go on to that, something me and my wife Rhea just bought a house 2 years ago. Real nice neighborhood. We love it. Kind of probably one of the younger couples in the community, but I'm the type of people I like talking to older people. And in this instance, it was just I got a lot of older white neighbors, and just talking with them, they'll compliment us like, "Hey man, this is your guys' first house. You guys did really really good." And they couldn't believe like, "Man, this is really your first house?" Like, "Yeah, we did." And then they'll say, "Hey man, I remember I gave my kids their first house." And I was like, to me, I was like, what? Because I can't even fathom that. And then the more I talk to people, oh yeah, I gave them their first house. So think about that from that instance. Even if owning real estate, you're able to give your kids their first house. It's already paid for. You know what I mean? Think about how much money they can save not having a mortgage, or if you're charging them a mortgage or rent, it's probably at a discounted rate because that's your babies. You know what I mean? And allowing them to stack so much money, and then they'll probably get a bigger first house than you ever did. But just like simple stuff like that. Or if you're in the position where, hey, they might not need the house, you got real estate and Airbnb and all other revenue streams. So I'm for it. If you guys are really good at it, go for it. I would look at it in your case as a stock market. I still think you need that presence because, like I said, my wealthiest clients have both. But I would look at the stock market as your lazy money. Like, okay, hey, when you go out in real estate, you got to go cut deals. You might have to make estimates. You might have to figure out things. Then might have to mess around with tenants and managing the property and doing all that. It takes work in a sense. It's not necessarily like if you love to do it or if you don't mind doing it, it might not be an issue or a
Yeah,
hassle.
it requires maintenance.
But you ain't running Amazon in the stock market. You're not running Apple. I got that. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I mean? So you got the lazy money, you're kind of like a silent investor in a sense, even though you are actually ownership when you own stock. And then you got the money that you actually, you work for, whether it's as a hobby or hey, this is my dedicated, this is, what I do, this is my passion. But I think it's key to create two revenue streams. I would highly recommend you have both though, if you're in that position. But I don't want to knock people. I know people who are just really good at real estate. And that's how they make a good amount of money. I'm not knocking them because that's a great asset to hold.
Man, I appreciate it. I'm gonna let my brothers talk now.
All right, let's go to the comments real quick there. I'm guessing this is your wife, Rhea Blewett. She says hi.
Yeah.
Oh.
She'll tell everybody, man, I'm my biggest hater. And she always tells people she's my biggest hater and my biggest supporter. So
Then we have Faith Love. She said over the last 60 years, inflation rates have diminished the purchasing power on everything. She also says, do you have any tips on options trading? I'm trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. And I just want to put this out here before he answers that. Any advice given on this platform is not to tell you to invest in or not to invest in on any stock, crypto, NFT, that there. Please make your choices on your own. 3200 and Mr. Blewett is not responsible for any purchase that you might make in the stock market. That's all of your own.
But hey, if
you
you
got
make
any
a little money off our show, we expect some.
We want to
I really do appreciate that disclaimer.
Percentage.
So Faith, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you I'm gonna disappoint you on your options questions because I just don't delve into them. I had to study them, I had to know them to, of course, pass my Series 7, but it's not a part of my practice. As a fiduciary advisor, I can't even recommend options for clients in that sense. And the reason why is just thinking as far as a business owner, I can make a portfolio and give a person a risk tolerance. Like, I can build a portfolio by the assets and what I hold into the portfolio and give, like, for instance, Leo estimates like, hey, if we have a worst case scenario in a bad market year, this is what this could drop to. Or if we have a great market year or just normal market years, this is what we expect. And it's easier for us to do that as opposed to options. It's dangerous for me in that sense because you have unlimited earning potential, but you have unlimited loss potential. And so if I'm consistently delving, because most of my clients are blue collar, like, I'm big on like, hey, don't take the risk you can't afford to take. A lot of my clients can't afford to be in options. Some may think they can, but they can't. And so when everything hits the fan, you have nothing. So in that sense, but then also just from the pure business point, it's hard for me because that opens myself up to so many lawsuits. If I take your money and I'll put in an option strategy and I lose everything, it's pretty hard, for us to stay in business in that sense. So most financial advisor firms and wealth firms, we really stick to either some, have a mixture of annuities or insurance-based products. I'm more into advisory, basically portfolio building in the stock market. And so that's where we specialize in. It's hard for us. We can't even do cryptocurrency, I'm glad we didn't at this point in time for clients because of the risk. I always tell people when my young people come to me, hey, Jody, you should do this or you should get Bitcoin. I say, yeah, but I don't manage your money. I manage your grandma's money. She's the one with 6 figures or whatever. And, I can't put your grandma in Bitcoin when she's living off her retirement portfolio. You know what I mean? She could lose 50% of her money in a month. How is she going to live in retirement? In that sense. So I have to break that down to people. Like, I'm boring. I can't get into risky stuff because I don't like being sued and I like being able to take care of my family. That's why when you see people talking about options, most people are just, freelance or, they're doing it themselves in the individual basis. The second part to her question in regards to inflation, I'm not sure about the statistics you mentioned, but inflation isn't a bad thing for the economy. Inflation, in a sense, represents growth. There has to be some form of inflation to have growth in regards to the economy. So it's not a bad thing. It's when it gets out of control that it becomes a bad thing in that sense, because essentially you have more demand than supply offered for you. And in that regard, you see now, I just think it's so crazy, having a infant, man, there was a shortage of baby formula. Like, that was just so crazy to me, but that's what inflation is. That's what happens when inflation happens. But if there's a slight controllable increase in inflation, that's not a bad thing. That's okay. But what basically happened is that I use it in the sense that we took our economy and our market and we put it on steroids. And remember when steroids were the hottest thing and everybody thought it was the coolest thing until they found out the side effects? Well, that's what happened. We basically devalued our currency. We devalued the dollar, saying, hey, we're just going to throw money into the system. But there's nothing really that, hey, there's no economic growth to show, hey, this money supply growth. You know what I mean? It doesn't match. And that's basically a sense where we devalued it in that sense.
All right. Got Mr. Terry. He said a few older people have created generational wealth. Investment in yourself is the best investment. And then Faith Love, she also say selling houses in this market is good right now, but buying back into the house, buying it back into it is a horse of a different color. So I have one question there, because Mr. Jody, we're kind of in a pre-recession right now. We're headed to recession. I don't think we're all the way in there, but we're getting very, very close. So if I'm wanting to invest, I'm really wanting to build that generational wealth, what steps should I be taking now? Knowing that we're about to go into recession, is it a good time to go seek a financial advisor or start delving into the stock market? What should I be doing right now going into recession as an individual? And then the second part of that is, as a company, I work with a lot of restaurants in the area here. What should business owners be doing, small business owners be doing now, knowing that we are heading into recession? How should their mindset or their financial How should everything kind of change?
I think from our standpoint, this is us training our clients. In a recession, we look at it as a sale. Prices are lower than you've ever been able to buy stuff for. And so we're actually of the opposite mindset of when somebody might want to pull the money out the market. This is the time to put more money back in the market. And like you said, we haven't hit a recession yet. And what happens is the media hypes it up and you hear so much, but they don't tell you that most recessions last less than 15 months. The last recession we had only lasted like less than 3 months. And so it'll hype you up and you'll see it. But if you go do the research, man, like, okay, hey, it's not that bad, you have to take that approach. The stock market is complicated, but it's not. In the sense, all it is a bunch of businesses. That's it. That's all it is a bunch of businesses. And I always tell people, I love to prove it when you deal with COVID. If there's nothing universally across this board, we know Americans, we can't agree on a lot of things, but one thing I promise you we can agree on, we're going to spend our money. We're going to do that. I don't care what culture, race, creed you are in this country, you're going to figure out a way to spend your money. And I always tell the reflection of COVID is that, I don't know, I can't speak for most, man, but do you guys feel like you shop at Amazon more than you did before COVID? I know your wives probably might shop the same amount more, but I know as a man, I wasn't really into Amazon. I was like, why would I order it on Amazon? I just go to the store. Now it's the Amazon package. That if I don't get 2 packages a week, something's wrong. But look how we evolved, and that's us as men. You know what I mean? We evolved into that. Something I always love to pick on my wife about is she goes to the grocery store now. She doesn't even get out the car. They put the groceries in the car for her. I hate that because I like to go in and touch stuff. I need to see it. And a lot of times we probably end up over budget because of that, but that's just me and I have to do that. But I think maybe only one grocery store. My wife's from Texas, girl. She swears by HEB. We don't have those in Louisiana, so I don't know if they offered it at the time. But I think there was only like one grocery store that offered that. And so now look how I think every major grocery store, even the smaller chains, offer that now. So look how quickly we evolved in that sense to, hey, we're going to figure out how to still get those dollars in. And so you have to take that into account. Like, if the stock market just really crashes, like people have fears and concerns about, we probably got bigger problems. I'm just being honest. At this point, we might be just, hey, you might need to get your faith right. You go to church on Sunday, but you might need to start hitting the Bible studies too. Because that's essentially, I don't know if you guys ever seen the book of Eli. Like, that's what it is. Like, nobody's spending money. Nobody's working. Like, everything, saying nobody's getting a new iPhone. Like, we have like big major problems. Like, we have a war going on in the middle of Europe. And you guys, we still out here doing podcasts. You know what I mean? Like, that's how resilient the economy is. You know what I mean? Like, so I get it. And don't get me wrong. I want to see if I might try to get too fancy and share a screen with you guys here. When you're looking at the statement and you see you might have lost 10, 20, maybe $30,000 in a 2-3 month period, that's scary as hell. And you have to, there's a couple things that have to happen. Me communicating with you and educating you about the market has to instill some kind of confidence or calmness in yourselves. And the second part of that is that, hey, it's this trust and faith. I have to instill, like, hey, I feel like Jody know what the hell you're talking about. And what usually happens is, I'm going to try to get fancy. Let's see if it works. I'm going to try to share a screen just to give you an example. Do I have time for this, guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. You're good. You're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
While you're doing that, I think my whole role in it is I don't look at it at all. I just let Jody be asking me when he called me every quarter or so. He'd be like, "Hey, you looked at it?" I'd be like, "No, not Jody. I don't. I'm not, because I don't want to touch it. I don't want to think about it. I don't even look at it." The reason, and while you're doing that, I'll let everybody know. The reason why we end up going to Jody is because, number one, his wife is my work daughter. Me and her used to work together, and she was one of the younger recruits. So me and my wife adopted her, and she's our work daughter. But also because I noticed, as y'all know, when my oldest son left the house, I do my budget, and all my brothers know I watch my money. I'm pretty cheap. I watch my money. But I started looking, and I had a certain number that I was like, oh, not having him in the house is going to save me this much. But my numbers was off. I didn't think about the other things that we was pouring into this child. and it ended up being quite a bit of money. And we had the next one coming up, and he was about to, he got up to the graduation age and everything. So that extra money did help us and give us a little bit of cushion with the youngest one and everything he wanted to do. But before the youngest one graduated, I remember going to Jody, and I was just like, man, I want to spend my money smartly. And that's something that most people, I think, don't think about. Like every year you get your income tax, and it might be like, oh, I gotta get this new car or whatever, but it's either sometimes you might have it where you don't have to get anything, but you want to spend your money, or you want your money to be used in a smart way. So that's why I end up going to Jody, and that was our main thing. And also because we had our TSP, which is for most people that's like their Roth RAs and things like that. And I had a TSP for a couple of years, and money was just going in there. I don't know what it was doing, how it was going. It was just going in there. So that's where Jody and those guys help you with those type of things, help invest and manage that money the right way. So even though you're going to make money off of it, it's more money that you're making. It's better for that generational wealth.
Definitely. I agree. I'm back. I tried to restart the screen instead. I had to restart Chrome to see if it works. So let me see if it allows me to do it.
This is my question. It doesn't even have to do with money. It's more of to help other business owners or people that's trying to get up and going. You talked about investors. First off, how did you sell yourself to a crowd that didn't look like you? And on the other aspect, how do you sell your business to a crowd that does look like you and that doesn't look like you? Because, for our people, they're very cautious and they more won't trust, a black man, but instead trust a white man. So you're getting the end on both, you're getting the stick on both ends, from, and I ain't even gotten to Indian people. so
you made me take my glasses off on this one. Man, it's hard and it's intimidating. I'm gonna be honest with you. So, 8 years. So I got in this game 27, 28. So not only that, am I a young black man, I'm young. I'm like, so I'm telling 50, 60, 70-year-olds what to do with their money, and then, hey, like, I'm smarter than them. I know, like you, it's not easy at all. And that's, I tell people this business is so much more personable than it is about the math equation and everything. Kind of Leo alluded to it earlier. I can give you a whole dissertation on finance. Most clients are going to understand maybe 10%. They don't give a damn. They really don't. They just want to feel like they can trust you and they can connect and relate to you. And so me, young black advisor in the South, I'm thinking every white person that comes in is going to be racist and ain't going to give me no money. And those are some of my longest tenure clients, man. It's crazy. And so you have to go with an open mind about it. And it's not easy to do because, like I'm saying, man, they might walk out the office and call me something after they leave. But then here's the other side of it that's very interesting and very true. Green is the great equalizer. Nobody is racist against the color green. So if I'm bringing you green, it does not matter. You don't give a damn if I'm purple, because I'm bringing green to the table. So in that sense, like, hey, everybody like making money. I don't care. So, like I said, but like, I alluded to earlier, you got to make 5 years in this industry, and it's hard as hell. I started with a whole bunch of advisors. It ain't many of us left. It's not. Look, I started with 20, I think maybe three. I know less than 5 for sure. Like that's how good it is, because you have to do exactly what you said. Now, there's different ways to do it. I'll give you a jump through my career. The banking world is easy because it's Capital One, and I can look up everybody at bank account in Capital One in the area and see, like, hey, you need a financial advisor. You got all this money sitting here, like KD was alluding to earlier. You got money just sitting here not doing nothing. that you could be investing and growing it in some way or form. So it's easy for me to pull up people if they're in the area of Capital One. If Oprah Winfrey had a bank account at Capital One, I could have pulled her up. Now, granted, she's not coming down to Shreveport, but you know what I mean? Like, so that's one sense. But then the other side of that is people usually in the banking world aren't on that thought process of investing. They're on like, hey, I'm just doing banking. If I do anything, I'll do a CD. You know what I mean? And then on top of that, I'll do a CD, but okay, hey, I might I'm trying to think of something else. Like I might do this type of product or this product, but in the end, they might not be making money. And so not only that, I have to convince them outside of that mindset. I have to get them to trust me. And then what happens if like the first time, like let's say you're in the market 3 months and you take a 10% dip. And I had to get you to trust me and get to know me and believe in my method. And as soon as you put some money in, I start losing it. And that's happened before. Now, thank God for me, it's been the opposite way the majority of times where as soon as people invest for whatever reason in the market timing, they went up. But it's been times where I like, look, hey, I promise I ain't taking nothing off the top. Like it's not going to me in my household because the way our fee structure is set up as fiduciary advisors, we make money when our clients make money. And when our clients are losing money, we lose money too. So it cuts out all the BS, if I'm being honest. You understand that, hey, we are tied to the hip. Your wins are my wins. Your losses are my losses. Like I got a teenager that's a freshman in high school, and I got a 9-month baby. Look, daycare is expensive, and I'm going to be having to pay college in 4 years if this soccer thing don't work out. You know what I mean? So I'm not trying to lose your money or my money in that sense. So you got to train bank customers. And so you spend more time in the banking side because it's easier to get clients, but you spend more time training them, having that investing mindset and generational wealth mindset and making them realize they're not going to get to where they might be trying to go doing it the way they've been doing it for so many years. The other side of that, when Capital One folded, they actually closed their investment department in 2018. I wasn't quite ready to go independent like I am now. So I went with a major firm called Merrill Lynch. And the thing about Merrill Lynch is you ain't had to convince those clients to invest. They wanted to invest. But what happened to me is that it was so big. It was so corporate. It was like the Titanic. They couldn't shift with the culture. And then their culture didn't look like us anyway. And so I loved it there. Leo, I don't know if you remember, I called you when I was getting ready to leave. I had a guaranteed contract. I was making more money than I had ever made. And I was like, Leo, I don't think I could do it this way for 30 years. And Leo will tell you, he was like, bro, you just bought a house. You just got married. You about to have a baby. I don't know, bro. You about to go out on your own by yourself. Like he was not for it. And I understand. He ain't worried about me. I married his daughter.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, don't be moving my daughter back in the house.
So I get that mindset. But from my perspective, for instance, like Merrill Lynch didn't want me working with people. They barely wanted me working with people that 100,000. They really wanted me only working with people that had 250,000 or more. So who am I usually serving in that instance? Not people that look like me. And even if the people that look like me do have it, again, I have to train them to put, hey, you going to put this much money in something? You know what I mean? And so there's no one method to it, man. I've had clients just from doing free seminars and their daughters have walked up to me like, my mama needs help. And then by their daughter vouching for me, they became clients. It's just me connecting really with the people and just being in the right places and honestly doing enough stuff for free in the sense that I'm just really trying to educate people to teach financial literacy. There's a book called Go Givers. I don't know if any of y'all have ever read that, about if you're just trying to pour in the good of it to people and just educating people in the sense of what you do, it finds a way to come back and take care of you. Like I did a free seminar. The lady, a young girl, came up to me, told me about her mom's situation. Dad had just passed away. They got a big life insurance settlement. And her mom was just so scared she didn't want to do because she didn't want to blow that money because she looked at it as her husband's legacy in a sense. And she was so scared she didn't have anybody to trust. That lady's now one of my biggest and longest clients. Never could have come and doing a free seminar, at a library for young ladies. You know what I mean?
Are you ever in the DFW area?
So that's very interesting. We are actually completing the merger. Y'all are getting exclusive access. We haven't even announced this yet. We actually just acquired a firm in Fort Worth, and that deal becomes official next week. So There we go. There we go. So
I need a
exclusive
part-time so I
access
can
right
use
here
that part-time
on the
money to
Crazy on the podcast. But and so the wirehouse method was great. Like I said, I was making more money, but I wasn't even able to get to touch the people I wanted to touch. I wasn't able to touch a Leo or Katie or Ike, you know, or I wasn't or Mr. Miami. I wasn't able to touch that. So I was like, this isn't how I want to do it, or this is how I want to talk, or talking to people like Faith. And I can't remember the other young lady I saw pop up on here and educating them because, like, well, you ain't even got enough money. Like, they don't even want me to open an account for you. So I said, if I'm gonna do this, I had to walk away, like I said, from making the most money I ever had. And I went independent. I partnered with a firm. It was very interesting. The the three guys I partnered with are the ones that gave me my start in this industry back in 2014. So I trusted them. I'm still the only one that looks like me, but they're cool. You know what I mean? And they get the vision and what I'm trying to do, and they help me with it.
But I think I remember one time you telling me, for most people who don't know Shreveport is a mostly black area.
Mm-hmm.
I think I remember one time you telling me it was only like 2 of y'all in that area that actually do your job. And I think you said the older gentleman was close to retirement, right?
Yeah. And that's how hard it is because you're in a situation. I think Shreveport maybe more than 3, but they've had 3, if not 4 consecutive black mayors. Like, how many cities can you name that in? You know what I mean? So there's wealth here and there's money here in the African American community, and in all communities, but it's in the African American community. There's money here, but it's the mindset and training them and getting them to understand. And I'll say this, and of course, I'm talking about the African American community, but one thing about finance, I can honestly say every race is ignorant about finance. Like, they really are. Like, it's I know we've been deprived because of cultural issues and obstacles against us, but if we take it seriously, we ain't too far behind, and we can catch it real quick. And you guys mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, we naturally have an inclination to understand money and how to make it and use it. We naturally. So if I can get my whole goal at the end of this when I lay down in my classic or whatever, that I created a situation where there's a whole bunch of guys and it's a young black man or young black woman or just a young person of color in a room, and they're able to look across in the boardroom or the conference table and they see somebody that looks like them. I'm trying to show them, like, hey, if I can trailblaze and not all these obstacles that I went through and give you a clear path, I can. It's almost like I'm gonna make the hole for you. You just got to run through that bad boy. But it's 2022, and I have to do that. That's how crazy that is to me.
Yeah.
Like this is 1999 or 1985. It's 2022, and I still got to be a trailblazer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's tough, bro. Yeah, and I think we get it more. My generation. I think the problem is that we got into the COVID fast of crypto and all this other stuff instead of hey, really analyzing it, because really investing isn't as sexy as we want it to be. I know all the movies, Wolf of Wall Street, or you got the movie Wall Street, all this, and I'll admit, people like, you in the suit, you're a preacher, or you just, and Jody suit, he corporate, but I'm like, I'm still a stockbroker. When have stockbrokers ever been the good guys? We the bad boys, you know what I mean? But still in that sense, we, investing when you're taking care of clients, we manage $500 million in assets right now, and it's going to be more when we acquire that practice. So we can't operate with risky. We have to be risk averse and plan long term for our clients. And even in the short term, like Kitty, I wanted to get to this. I was talking about minimums at Merrill and stuff like that. We set our minimum at 5,000. Like, that's 5,000 give you one of our complete portfolios. And we highly recommend, we can't make it mandatory, that you do monthly contributions, because that's how you generate compound interest and make what we call the dollar cost averaging effect by doing that. Instead of you timing the right time to get in the market, you end up with an average to maybe below average price of that stock by just making monthly contributions to it and teaching wealth. Because that's another fun part for me. It's cool making rich people richer, but teaching somebody wealth, and then, maybe 30 years from now, I get to see how that created generational wealth from their family when that wasn't even an ideal or a concept. Like, that's what makes it cool for me and allows me to get up in the morning and go through the grind of this.
I think there's a fear. I don't know if it's a healthy fear or anxiety, but I think there's a fear involved for us as the cultural, for blacks, that I have to give somebody money to make me money. There's that fear. And then there's also the fear of like this new generation, everything is microwave. And
Yeah.
so they want to see a ROI in 30 days.
Yep.
Right. So it's like, no, you just started. You're an infant. Infants have to walk. Then they have to learn how to potty. Then they have to learn how to run. Then they have to. And so that's what got me to the point of um, not even going as far as generational wealth, but just understanding. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Just educate me on what to do with this money so it can make sense because I want to do it. And I think there are a lot of Black people that want to. There's just that fear in that apprehension in committing to it and then not watching it. Like Leo, I do the same thing. I don't even know what's in my savings. I just know that when I look preparing for this show, they charging me $5 to keep my money. And I'm like that money that's taken away. If there is interest, that's taken away from the interest that they would be giving me. So am I really winning? And so I'm like, maybe I should take this money to put it in another purse and then start looking at some interest and some growth from there. So I think there's a fear involved in
It's definitely a fear. I would say I try to combat that with making it personal for a client because people like we've talked about this podcast about investing money and such, but there's really a process to being a financial planner or financial advisor, and by the College of Financial Planning that you go through it. And one of the first steps in that is developing goals. Like it's hard for you to come to me and just say, I'm going to invest this money. But it comes across so much better when you have a purpose or a why for it. Hey, I'm investing this to put baby girl through college, or I'm investing this to create generational wealth for my family down the road, or I'm investing this because I don't even have no long-term goals, but I just want me and my wife to take vacations when we feel like it, before retirement. Whatever the purpose is, we have to attach that. And a lot of people come in the office and ask them, so what are your goals? What are you doing this? And they don't really know. They just know, like you said, I know I'm not winning where I'm at. I know that. I don't know nothing else, but I know I'm not winning where I'm at. So then we take it another level. Okay, what are the business risky advisors against? Okay, where are we kind of trying to take that and playing that in that sense? Like, okay, what are we doing this for? Because then this is what also happens with that why and that purpose. That's going to keep you, because no matter what I do, I don't have time to sit and watch Leo's budget. I don't. I love Leo to death. He plays like feeling me. I can't stop him from going to Top Golf and getting his butt whipped like I did last time I was down there. But if I say, hey,
hold on. We want one, buddy. We want one.
But if Leo, but let's say, okay, I know Leo loves watches. So let's just say he has a bad Rolex habit, if hypothetically. What's going to keep Leo from going to the store to buying that new Rolex? It's not going to be what Jody said. I shouldn't do this. I should be more frugal. It might be like, no, I'm doing this because I want to buy this house for my family. Or I want to do, you know what I mean? If I get a purpose or a why behind it, that's going to control his spending habits and his bad habits so much more. And then once we develop that goal, that's the other part where it translates to a lot of people aren't ready to invest. The second step is cash and debt management. There's no point in me putting you in a portfolio. And even though it might be getting 10 or 12%, that's great. But you got a credit card that's charging you 25, 27%. So until we get that debt killed or knocked out for you, we still playing a losing game. And you're not in a position to invest yet. It's just being honest, because, hey, and it might make you feel good to have an advisory account or investment account, but you still losing, babe. And hey, I could be making money off of you, but I'm really trying to get you in this thing the right way. And there's a process to it. A lot of people don't want to follow the process. Honestly, according to the 9 phases of financial planning, investment planning is number 6. So a lot of people, they want to skip just to 6. They don't want to, they don't want to go through, what it takes to get there. Because like I said, the cash and debt management, if you ain't able to follow your budget, you're not going to be able to make those monthly contributions every month. In other words, you probably not even going to be able to save to have an investment account because you always blowing money every month. The other part of that is something that happened to me. I think we got 20, 30,000 when my dad passed. If something happens to my family now, they'll get $1 million or close to it. But I don't have a higher net worth than my dad at the time he passed. I just know more. So the other part of that is risk management. Hey, I'm glad I was a financial advisor, but if dad, just knew a little more and somebody was there to help him and guide him, hey, he could still be a pediatrician. because he ain't sitting there working 2 or 3 jobs through college and worried about taking care of his mom and making sure she's straight. You know what I mean? But we don't know that. We're not thinking about that. So life insurance is a big deal. And there's a lot of bad life insurance out there. So you have to have somebody coach you through a policy that actually works for you instead of what makes somebody the most commission. And so that, that's another part of that. The fourth is it doesn't necessarily have to be this, but for a lot of people, and especially us, we got to get these kids away from these student loans. And so that would be education needs. And you got to kind of do that early. That's the best way to do it. That's the cheapest way to do it, is do it early. So you get the 529 plans. I think most of y'all are in Texas, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Louisiana, the weird thing about Louisiana, we don't have the highest public education in elementary, junior high, or high school, but we have great colleges. And then the other thing about that is we have a great 529 plan for kids where it actually matches your contributions like a 401k. 90%, if not more, of the clients I talk to don't even know that. And they're born and raised in Louisiana. But it's the knowledge aspect. So just you talking to a financial advisor, I see y'all nodding your head. I just went through 4 things. So the first 4 phases, and y'all nodding your head, haven't even got to investing. And the 5th part is the most important to everybody, especially, I know Leo's a little different because his military background, but the 5th part is group benefits plan or 401k. Most people's biggest check is going to come from their 401k when they retire. And then most people don't even know what the hell is in their 401k, how they're managed, how they're set up, how they're allocated. I remember when I worked at Capital One, I used to go in and fix, I always said the girls because I worked with 90% women, but I would fix the people's 401ks for them, set up. I remember I had a girl, she was 24, 25. She had the portfolio of a 65-year-old. You know what I mean? Until this day, I haven't worked at Capital One since 2018. I still get them calling me, talking about, Jody, my portfolio been killing it. It's been crushing it. So they didn't know they could make money like that. And then if you have a great company like Capital One that has a lot of benefits, they have employee discounts for stock shares. They miss out on so much because they don't even have a clue how their 401k works. But I can't beat you guys across the head about that because you got the job and they gave you this thick ass manual and thought you was gonna read through it. Well, you gotta learn how to do the damn job you got hired for first. So who's got time to read that? And if you call your HR, they probably don't know how the hell to explain it to you. So if you get through to somebody, so it's like, I don't blame society because we haven't been able to get it in the sense. So that's group 401k planning, or if you're TSP, whatever you are, that's a big part. And then number 6, what we've been talking about and what most people want to talk about is investment planning. Like that's when we get to that. Because once you get all that other stuff taken care of, you can get to 6. And then 7 is, okay, you're a manager now. We can figure out your manager 401k, see how that's going to work. And that's retirement and income planning, setting you up to where I got a lot of clients. It's not as hard as people think, and it depends on the situation, but they make more money in retirement than they did working. I really got clients like that. Imagine that. You mess around and make more in retired, not doing nothing that you did working and dealing with people you don't like every day.
I'm trying to be a stay-at-home dad right now.
I'm trying to tell you. What's his name? Stedman? But that's how you can set yourself up. I don't want to get too long, and I want to answer Ms. Terry's question. I'll throw this in there real quick, Ms. Terry. The biggest risk because everybody's different. Ms. Terry might be a bigger risk taker naturally, and she might be in a position where she can take more risks than me or Leo or somebody else. You never know.
It's a he.
Yeah.
Terry is a he.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was the lady on the picture. I'm sorry.
That's his people, but yeah, it's a he.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. Well, Mr. Terry. But so in that regard, I would take the approach in the sense that, hey, what's my plan? Because that's going to determine my risk. Even if, Terry was the first sit down with me, the first thing we would do if we were ready to get to the investment part is I would give him a literal 10-question quiz trying to figure out his risk tolerance. Because he might think he's aggressive, but the purpose of those questions is to see what are you really. He might have messed around and be conservative. Or he might have thought he was conservative, or he might have been moderate or aggressive. That's literally the first step that we do when it comes to investment planning for our clients. Figuring out their risk tolerance and what they can take. And then as long as we align ourselves within that plan, it works out because, hey, we're not taking more risk than you can afford or take. And I know that's a general answer to this question, but it's the truth. It's all about what the plan fits for you. All 5 of you guys are going, excuse me, it's 5, I counted myself. Before all 4 of you guys are going to have a different financial plan. It is what it is. They might be similar, but they're going to be different. I always tell the people it's like a well-tailored suit. Have any of you guys heard of target date funds? So usually you'll find a lot of target date funds and 401ks where they just say, hey, you're this age, so we're going to build you the portfolio saying you're going to retire in 2050 or 2065.
Yeah.
So we're going to build your portfolio around that. And I don't mind them. They're not the best, but I don't mind them because it's better than you doing nothing. And it gives you something allocated based on your age. So it's better than you not doing nothing at all. But this is what I compare it to. I can go buy a suit off the rack from Express, and it's gonna look good on me. Like, it'll look good. I just have a natural body type, shoulder slim, and it looks good on me. But when I go get that bad boy tailored, my wife look at me different. I'm out in these streets like, suit, sir. You know, it's a whole different like superpower. I don't know. I know my boy Leo. He's in the anime. Like, it's Super Saiyan when you get that stuff. That's what it's like, and that's what a portfolio is like. Okay, hey, you had this 401k. They gave you a target date fund. Now, you didn't come here. I didn't tailor the portfolio specifically for you. This is yours. You know, I didn't give you just a general portfolio. This is you based on what you told me about your family, your dynamic, what's personal to you. What are your goals? How do you feel about this? What did you go through your childhood? What are some things that affected you and made you who you are? I got a tailored portfolio, just like a tailored suit that fits you. It's got them chest popping out. It's got your stomach looking flatter than maybe you deserve. You know, it makes a difference. And then the last two, I'm sorry, I know I'm going long, is tax planning, because you're going to mess around when you figure out this money game where this Uncle Sam going to be like, hey, what's up, man? How you doing? It's been a minute. I know I've been giving you money for a while, but it's now time for you to come give it back. Here's the collection plate. Because man, Leo, I told you when I went independent, because I was working corporate so long and they taking taxes out and I'm paying out. When I got that first tax statement when I went independent, I said, no, not me. That first time I had to, I used every inch of that minor in accounting I got. And I look at it different now. And it's harder for me because I'm young. I'm just now making money. I'm in my 30s. So, there's this thing we call the wealth seasons. I got it from my favorite book. It's called The Wealthy Garden. It's one of my favorite books. But age 0 to 30 is when you make your financial mistakes because you don't know any better in most cases. 30 to 60 is financial accumulation. That's when, okay, I done made some mistakes. I know what's done and what's not done. Let me run this up real quick. And 60 to 90 is financial independence. Now, those are just guidelines. You mess around and figure this stuff at 45, I ain't hating on you. You know what I mean? But 60 to 90, you should be financially independent, and it ain't hurting you to do whatever the hell you want to do with your money. And, when I was naive when I first got in this game, I thought, well, everybody just wants to make money and grow it and pass it down to their kids. And the older my daughter gets, she's 14 now, I'm like, man, the hell with them kids. They going to get what's left. I'm going to do this. I'm going to take care of this. I'm going to be on my island doing what I want to do. Hopefully my preferred habit is legal. And I'm sitting back and y'all do what y'all want. And when it's all said and gone, here's what's left. And I get that now. At first, like I said, I was naive. Like, she was still little and precious to me. So I'm thinking, I just want to give everything. But that's you planning it out. But that's estate planning. Like, so for instance, I got everything going to read down here. I used to be a single dad. So if I passed away, everything would go to my daughter. You think I want to give my daughter $1 million at 17 or 18? I don't care who you are, how responsible, how good your child is. You give them $1 million that they didn't earn at 18, they're going to blow it. They are. It's just natural. And it's not that they bad people or whatever. It's natural. If I give y'all $1 million right now, y'all might mess around and blow it. You know what I mean? I hope not, but you don't know. Like, it happens because you feel like it's never going to
holler at you.
If we really keeping it real, I had my daughter in college, so it would go to my baby mama. You think I'm trying to give my baby mama $1 million? So that's where you get to the point where you get your will set up, you get your trust set up, and get.
We had that episode last week.
If my daughter's getting $1 million straight cash, okay, well, hey, you get $10,000 a year, or you have to get a degree in college before you get access to the majority of the funds. That's the stuff you build within a trust. A will to save you a lot of times your family from giving money to a lawyer because you don't have to hire them to figure it out and do probate. It's already said, well, look, you ain't got to do nothing, boss. Just file a will because everything is in there. So y'all don't even have to come out of money giving it away to an attorney when I've already left it behind for you. And so, I know I went through a lot, and that's a lot to grasp. I kind of went through it, but that is the natural process. Ideally, now this doesn't. Not every client goes through this phase, but ideally, that is what you want to take a client through as a financial advisor. Doesn't always happen. Sometimes y'all stuck. I think y'all know better. But that is ideally what you want to take a client through. And because if you accomplish each of those phases, you get to the point where, hey, I got so much money to leave behind. I need a trust. I need an estate plan. I got so many damn houses to leave behind. I don't know which one's going to be this, which one's going to be the Airbnb, which one's the rent house. I need to have a trust to show these kids this is how I ran this business. This is how I ran it up. So, man, it's a process. There's a lot to it, man. I'm sorry, but it's a lot.
No, we appreciate it, man. We really appreciate you coming on the show, sharing that. And we're going to have to get you back on, man, because there's a lot that we did not get into that we really need to get into to help people out, especially going into, like they're going into this pre-recession, going into recession. Real quick, Mr. Blewett, there, if you want to put your information out if somebody's interested in reaching you or using your services, how can they do that?
Okay, well, so LinkedIn is Jody J. Blewett. Our website is planinvestinspire.com. We really live by that. We want to make the plan for you. We want to get you invested, and then we want to inspire future generations or the people around you to do the same. So planinvestinspire.com is the email. You can schedule a call, Zoom. We have clients all across the nation. My personal email is jody@planinvestinspire.com. We use the Calendly app, which is pretty cool. It's Black owned. You can schedule a time on the calendar. You don't necessarily have to contact me directly. You know, if you go through on the website, you can actually schedule a time that works for you. So we're not going back and forth trying to figure out, your schedule better than I will. So try to make it as easy as possible. And if you forget all that, just text Leo.
Leo, we'll have you put that information down in the comment section for anybody who might be interested. We usually end the show with solutions or with a final thought from each of our members. I say we do, if you got any help for any of you, and we'll start, I guess I'll start and we'll just work our way down. Any takeaways or any help to give our audience there from you guys, and then we'll end it with Mr. Jody, if that's cool. My biggest takeaway was going into recession here. I think he said one of the best things. Hey, everything is on sale right now in the market. I'm not like Leo and Katie. I watch it a lot. I'm on my Webull and Robinhood and looking at everything, looking at the market, seeing what I can get for cheap. So recession is recession, man. If you got that extra funding, if you got extra money, $20, $5, whatever it may be, things are on sale. You don't even have to buy a whole share nowadays. You can buy fractional shares. So jump up in there, get stuff while it's on sale. When dealers have a sale, the pink tag sale,
run it in there.
everybody's pushing everybody down to get some of that, to get a cheap Dooney purse or whatever kind of purse the women are wearing now. Everybody's pushing everybody over. You need to be at the door pushing to get in there right now where everything is on sale. Amazon, especially your big stocks, Amazon, Walmart, all of the big stuff, jump in there while it's on sale. This is the time right now while it's cheap to jump in. It's going to create some of that generational wealth. That's my biggest takeaway. Leo, what you got?
I think my biggest takeaway, and like I said, I went to Jody. I think my biggest takeaway is it's never too early or too late to talk to a financial manager. Even if you don't have the money at the time, they're going to set you on a path to get to where you need to be, like he said, to start investing. And looking at money in different ways, I think the biggest thing I learned from Jody, I called him one time. I had there was an investment that I was thinking about jumping into, and he was like, "Hey, man, these was your goals right here. You haven't got to that step yet, so how you jumping to another step?" And once he said that, it like clicked, and it kept me straight on the goals that I have. So I always say go to a financial advisor, and they'll keep you where you need to be, and also give you those ideas or those thoughts that you never thought of. Like he showed us those nuggets that you never knew. They can help you with that. So I think that's the biggest thing I learned from this.
All right, KD.
Yeah, I would just share with anybody, if you, most of the time, if you have that fear, get the education you need from somebody that's in that field, that look like you, so they can understand your culture, they can understand what you're going through, and I deal with some people on the side that kind of has poured into me, but just kind of get over that fear, and the fear is mostly caused because of ignorance, and it's not knowing a lot of times is a bad thing. So, the best way to get over that fear is just connect with the right person to give you the information you need to educate yourself. And if you don't trust them, Google it and find out, if they're telling the truth or not. Now you can't trust everything on the internet, but get a second opinion. You're never going to go wrong if two people are saying the same thing.
And hey, Katie, not to jump in on you, but Investopedia.com is my favorite website. If you were looking for any financial terms, something fun, go there. I've been using that thing since college. So that would be a great resource. Like you said, to Google Investopedia.com is a great resource. I'd highly recommend that for people.
Bet. And then, getting over the fear and, getting with people like Jody, like Marcus Castile, like those individuals that's going to be able to, kind of put you in some lanes and put some bumpers on them so you don't drive off the road and do, make mistakes with your future.
All right. Look like money. Smell like money. What you got? Mr. Miami.
Hey, man. My favorite part. F the kids, F the wife, F the grandparents. Hey, time to spend some money. Nah, hey, gotta be a risk taker. I mean, you're not gonna overcome anything without taking risks. So if that's you want to save money for this, save money for that, start business, whatever it may be, time to take the risk. Stop procrastinating. Get your butt up and get to work, man. I mean, you said you had the dream.
Mm-hmm.
You got a dream. You at the house. Was a little college commercial. Man, get up and do something about it. You tired of living in the slums. You're tired of, living in the hoods. Get up and get it, man. Let's get it. And let's link up. That's what's wrong with our people. We don't want to link up. We want to hide information from each other. Let's link up. Let's share information. Let's all grow. Let's get better. That's what I got.
Don't move out the hood because the landlord might need you. So I'm just saying.
Don't sell your grandma a house. It could be a condo in a couple of years.
Oh yeah. Hey, watch out, Oak Cliff. That's all I'm saying.
Oh man, well, my family. I'm an Army kid, so I didn't grow up there, but we didn't get to stay there often. But my family, the hospital Blue P. Flowers, is named after my family, so we Oak Cliff bloodline hard through
there. Hey, gentrification is coming.
Yeah,
Fifth Ward, Houston, gentrification is here.
You got any last words, service?
My big thing is I tell people to be a CEO of their own life. And when I say that, control what you control, whatever your job profession is, do that and do that well. You know what I mean? But, I see a lot of people take on the task, and if it's a natural interest for you, go for it. Do investing. That's fine. I always tell people, I don't mind you having like a side chick. You got your personal investment account that you might want to do your risky options or trading in. But then also let me be your main thing in the sense that like, hey, I got the safe strategy or portfolio or allocated, with not necessarily the risky options or concepts for you. And I got that for you. And then you can go play because you're probably done due diligence enough to where, hey, I got this extra money that I can play with and take risks, Jody, on. So I'll do that and I'll do that with that. And that's fine. I see what Terry, learn about the money. You got to know how it works because you might mess around and come in financial advisor office and they just tell you a whole bunch of stuff and make some money off of you. So you don't want to go into the situation being dumb. I'd like all y'all to trust me when you come in, but I'm not going to sit here and say not every advisor is genuine and is going to give it all to you like I tend to do with my clients up front. And the reason I say get to my main point, being a CEO, I don't read medical journals before I go to my doctor. I might do WebMD and that's it. I just go to my doctor and I trust my doctor's diagnosis or when they examine me. Treat your financial advisors the same way. I don't go watch Judge Judy before I go to court if I have to go to court. I hire an attorney that I trust because that's their profession and what they do. And so that all comes to the main concept of a CEO. A CEO doesn't do everything. They delegate everything. That is what their superpower is. They are good at empowering people to do good at tasks that they're good at doing. So be that CEO. Hey, I got this is my finance person. I got this is my medical person. I got this is my legal person. Hell, I got this is my cleaning person. You know what I mean? Delegate and control your life because you can't do everything. You can't. Make it essential. Like, okay, I handle this, and then I delegate these tasks out to these people to trust them. And I feel like when people start operating and conducting their lives like that, it makes it easier because you start getting the concept, can I trust this person? And you're more so like, this is what I'm supposed to do. You're supposed to work for me to help me achieve my goals. So that's my spiel. Empower yourself in that sense. And don't carry all this burden on yourself because more like you ain't got enough time for it.
All right. Once again, man, we want to thank Mr. Jody. I appreciate you coming on. Like I said, hopefully we can get them back on there and we can get a little bit deeper into this conversation. Again, make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe and share this thing. Hey, we've got more content coming out next week. Check us out. Then we'll be back here live 7:30 next week with a new topic and some new things. Hey, we want to thank all our audience and everybody for joining us. Oh, you got one more thing?
I just want to shout out my boy Danny Martin. That's the senior partner here at our firm. He's jumped on our podcast. He made a comment. He posted some fire emojis. That's how dedicated he is, man. He's closing a big merger deal in a whole other state, and he still wants to jump in and support. So shout out to my boy Danny. He's the one that actually gave me my start in this industry.
That's what's up. Hey, Danny, let me hold something.
You got it too. I ain't even gonna say it.
Hey, don't wait to invest to your baby's born. To your baby's born.
And that boy Isaac go freeze mode again.
Oh man. All right. Thank you everybody for coming. Y'all have a good night and be safe.
3200, but you already know this. Couple of brothers hard working and focused. Intellectual, entertaining for show. 32 double O, let's go.